there has to be a balance. You can't completely always be unique. It just won't work. There has to be some connection or commonality with the existing zeitgeist or, the social viewpoint and what's going on. However, you can't just copy other people's work and expect to build a long-term relationship out of that. Because again, it's not genuine. You're not creating a relationship with that end customer. You're not building that trust.
Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast, where technology's fast and biz is a blast.
In life and in business, time is precious. It's why customers stay or leave and why businesses succeed or fail. We're here to give a voice to everything that makes business, whether as a customer or as a CEO, easier and more rewarding. Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome, ladies and gents, to episode 37 of the Customer Commerce Podcast. Gentlemen, the three amigos are back again. I've missed all of us. Mikel, CEO of Store Connect, David Breyer, branding extraordinaire of all things that are controversial, non-controversial, just really anything. He can get the party started anywhere, really. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm back in Australia, so I did another one of those nice short little hops across the pond.
Just short. Can you tell everyone actually, because many people are fascinated by when they say, oh, you're from Australia. How long is the flight?
Long. So I usually fly to the East Coast for various reasons. We've got quite a few investors in Florida. So that's usually where I base my operations because I get to, meet and press flesh and shake hands and talk to people. So door to door, from leaving my house to arriving at the hotel, if there are no flight delays and everything is perfect and I get the shortest direct flight, it's 28 hours door to door, including travel. And of that, 22 hours roughly are inside of airplanes. Including boarding and everything. I think last year I did a calculation. It's something like 19 days inside of airplane cabins or something like that. Like it was just ridiculous. It's like almost over half a month I spent sitting inside of airplane cabins. Like I'm not talking airports and travel. I'm just talking hours spent inside of an airplane cabin divided by 24 hours gives me like 19 days. It was just ridiculous. That was 5 trips to America and 2 to England, which is actually longer. So it's more like 32 hours to get door to door from Sydney to London.
Did
you calculate like the amount of questionable consumables that you actually ingested during that time? Airplanes are just.
Yeah, that again.
Airplanes.
I don't know if I want him to say that again. That's like ridiculous.
Were you on a plane,
I don't
Michael?
Really drink, so I don't get to have I don't drink the alcohol, and quite often actually when I'll get on the flight, I'll actually be fasting because I found that if you don't eat on the airplane when you wake up, like I almost never have breakfast in an airplane. Even though I've been on the plane for that amount of time, because the fasting helps reset your body clock. But it totally freaks out the airline attendants because they're like, you're not eating? Like, what are you going to do on this flight? And I'm like, I'm just going to sleep. So I end up getting on the plane. I'll usually have the dinner because why not? I fly Qantas and their dinners are actually pretty good. And then I'll just go to sleep. I'll take a melatonin to, just a natural sleep cure thingy, and then I'll sleep for like 6-7 hours, and then I'll wake up and I'll be awake for 5 hours. I'll do some work. One of the things I do most on airplanes, actually, on my long haul flights, is clear out my email backlog. So if you haven't received an email from me for whatever, and I take an international flight, you'll probably get an email, because what I'll do is I'll download all of my emails before I get on the plane, because most of the planes internationally don't have Wi-Fi. And then I'll just start at the bottom and just work my way up and send like 200 emails and just clear out the inbox. It's great.
Now, since you've announced this to the world, so those that might be waiting for an email from you, should there be a window of time such as like anything before 2012 or something like that?
You will definitely get an international flight. That's so funny. that's really interesting because I've been traveling back and forth and I'm like, how do I get really smart at traveling for such long periods of time? I'm a bit opposite. I'm just like, give me the meals. In fact, I go one step further because I know all the snacks that the plane has anywhere. And it's actually great. You go to the back of the plane and there's 24-hour snacks
Yep.
all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like a big potato on the plane. And if I fall asleep,
You just
I
keep
fall
munching.
asleep. It's
Yeah,
really
and
bad.
I mean, there's lots of ways. I've had to develop some procedures on flights because when you're doing that many trips and you land, because quite often when I land, it's not like I get 3 days to adjust.
Yeah.
Many times I've landed the day of an all-day conference, and I land at 6 a.m. and then I'm straight into a full-day conference and then drinks afterwards, and I'm on deck for like 9-10 hours, and then I get to bed at 8, 9, 10 p.m. at night. So, that I have a whole routine. Like my carry-on bag, for example, has a full change of clothes and my running gear so that if my luggage gets lost on the way, I can still go for my run when I land, my 5K walk, which I've been doing every day now for 5 months, I think. And I have a change of clothes for the next day just in case, because there's so many chances of something to go wrong on that. And I'm not generally traveling for pleasure. So my schedule is very, very compact and tight. So I don't know. At some point, if we get this business big enough, I'm definitely flying. I'll find a private jet at some point. But yeah, in the meantime, you just got to really figure out what is the process of making all that work in the most economical way.
But I have one question though. Since we've delved into your eating habits and non-habits on while traveling, Michael.
Consumables.
Because this is totally about the customer commerce
This
podcast.
is totally
I
about
know.
customer commerce.
We got to wrap this. We got to wrap it up.
And so,
Give us the final question, David.
the final
Come on.
question is for you, Jess. Is like, what do you just sort of like? Do you like when you're kind of like just shoving food in your face just for pass the time? Do you kind of look over to like a person next to you and say, "Are you going to finish that?"
Jess is not the "Are you going to finish
No,
that?" person.
no,
though.
I don't take other people's meal. I just go back to the back
Yeah,
of the
she
plane
just
and
goes
get more
gets
snacks.
more.
Yeah, I'm classy, David.
I had to check. I thought I thought you were going to go the classy
Do you
route.
know who she is?
I think I
Okay,
do.
Jess, let's get on with this podcast.
Okay. Well, look, I was the last few minutes I was trying to find a segue. Can't find
You
anything.
just lost it. Let's
You can
just get
send
into
out a
it.
search party. You'll never find a segue
Yeah,
from
exactly.
this.
I saw an article online because, again, I read Forbes and I read articles these days since starting this podcast. And it was around the email marketing that you get of brands, quote unquote, or air quotes that I'm doing right now, that make a mistake or they accidentally send an email saying, oh my gosh, we messed this up. We're so sorry. Here's the discount code. Oh my God, we ordered too much stock and now we don't have any space to keep it. We're putting half price on this product. And at first, I was definitely a believer of this. I was like, oh my God, they did this. Yay, I get to benefit from it. And now I think it's a thing. An email came through. We were so excited to tell you about our brand new Derby Weave last week, which is a pair of shoes. We forgot to include a link to our shop. Sorry about that. And that's not necessarily a discount code, but it's just, it grabs your attention because you're like, oh, they messed up. What did they mess up on? It's like we like to see.
Did they mess up, or is this just a fake?
That's the point. So this article goes through the apology emails informing customers of a mistake that then has either an offer or a release, or it gets clicks and more attention because you're saying, whoops, we messed up. And I am personally way more likely to click on an email that says, oh my gosh, we really stuffed up from a brand than a generic, hey, look at our new, bottles of water that we've just released or whatever.
Right. Well, it humanizes them, and there's an apparency that it's humanizing them, and they're human too. So, oops,
Yeah. But do you think it's clever marketing, or do you think it's a bit manipulative? Or
so here's a thing that I think is a very true point. Work out how to always be truthful in communications.
Explain.
No matter what your communication is, be truthful. For example, If someone says, hey, can you come out, go to this new restaurant, you don't really want to go with them, they're a work colleague, your work friends, you don't really want to go there, but you just don't want to do it. You don't say, I'm really sorry, I'm really busy, I've got all these meetings, blah, 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 because that may or may not be true. And so now you're in an untruthful situation. They then find out that actually you had the day off and all your meetings got cancelled. Now they're pissed off with you and all that sort of stuff. You just simply say, look, I can't make that work. I'm really sorry. Or you even don't even include the sorry because you're not really sorry. You just can't make it work, right? So you just go, I can't make that work. I've heard the restaurant's great. I'm sure you'll have a great time. Full stop, right? That will get you a lot further than trying to make up excuses because you're not sorry, right? This is the same thing. They're not sorry that they didn't include that link. They did it on purpose, right? So they're leading their conversation forward with a lie. If that's the case, I don't actually know because I haven't looked at it with my own eyes. But if that's the case, then they're leading the conversation forward with a lie. They are setting up a relationship with their customers where they're treating them, if they're doing this, they're treating them as people that aren't savvy enough or aware enough to just deal with it. Now, that's not great. It's like saying we'll raise our prices 10% and then give you a 10% discount. It's like it's the same type of deal, I think. I'm very much against it from that point of view, David.
But to the point you're making, insincerity does really leave a sour aftertaste, and unfortunately there's quite a bit of it, where it's like where they go, where you get this kind of false scarcity is a very common marketing strategy, right? You get that, and it's like, we're just, it's just going to be on till this only is going to be available till whatever the cutoff time is, midnight or something like that. And then you get, because of the demand was and you get these little false little manipulations, and none of those manipulations, they never pan out. There might be, and this is a distinction I want to make because I think someone will go, yeah, but we tried that and we saw a sales spike. If you're just looking at this stuff with a very, very short-term mentality, yeah, you might see something like that. But in the long term, you will see erosion. You will see people being less loyal to you as a brand because they feel like it's transactional. And
are you saying as in if you keep that kind of thing up? Like it worked, it was a spike, and then let's say a month you go, oh, well, that works. So we're going to put out another email being like, oops.
Yep.
It's going to, interesting.
Well, it's not going to work. Oops, we forgot again. I mean, really?
You're going to be like, that's a dumb company.
You got to look at the metrics and what's going to drive your growth. But the thing that's going to drive your growth the most in any company is building a long-term trusted relationship.
That's why if someone calls me up and says, hey, David, I'd like to go to dinner with you. And I'm like, I'll say, look, here's the deal. I did an actual analysis of our last 6 dinners together. You told 12 jokes. I only found 3 of them funny. And that's really not quality time. So until you let me know when you've actually kind of really reconfigured, worked over your punchlines, your delivery, and just all of that. And then we can just give it like Michael just left.
He's done. He's had it. Michael, come back. Come back, Michael. You know what I can tell?
Like that, just like that.
What I appreciate about you both is that whenever I receive a compliment from you both,
it's genuine.
At least I know it's genuine. That's very interesting. I have to come clean with something. When I first started in social media for a e-commerce brand, that was because we were one of kind of the first that was doing a lot of social media in Australia, at least, with e-commerce, and we were very online with our customers. And there were a couple of emails that I was like, yeah, let's send this out because it's working. And it definitely did. Like there was always a huge spike. It was like, oh, we accidentally put we were meant to do a promo code for someone, but we accidentally made it public and our bosses don't know, but go for it. And people would kind of go with that. One time I did do a really bad mistake, which was I was doing the email. I wrote it up and it was a product that was $299. And I fully made the prices on the graphics and everything, I think $29. and it went out to thousands of customers. And that was really bad because that was the opposite effect, like complete opposite. It wasn't like we sold heaps. It was just like, it was horrible. And I was like, I had to put an email out being like, I'm so sorry. It's not on sale and you can't get it for that. And we didn't take any opportunity to try and get sales with that. But I was like,
Yeah,
"Ugh."
but that's genuine. Like that's a mistake.
Yeah.
And that will actually build trust.
Mm.
You know, I've had situations where I'm talking to a client and they've said blah, 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 blah. And one of my sales team or one of my account executives or solution engineers have said, we can do blah. And I've actually contradicted that in the sales cycle negatively towards our own product. Right. And said, actually, I don't think that would be the best option for you. Right. Now, the fact that I'm counter pitching my own sales team in a conversation is so random, like it's so unexpected that it instantly builds trust. Because, I mean, I don't do it from that point of view, but I do it because I genuinely want to help the customer. But the customer's sitting there going, holy hell, you know, the CEO's counter pitching their own sales team? Like, what's going on? He must really care. And then suddenly that gets that, you know, you're building trust. This is the key thing. You're going to get a lot more benefit building trust. And sending out that genuine, heartfelt, sorry, we screwed up email, that's valid. You're not going to do it next month, you know, and it builds trust.
When you can be that impartial, I mean, it is a power move, and the best negotiators actually do know that. But when it's that and real, you know, it's actually when you say no, you say, you know what? I mean, I've occasionally done that. I've said, you know, I heard what you need. I don't think I can actually help you. I don't think that I'm the best match for you. And that gives you a level of like, what? Just blows their mind.
Yeah, which helps them and obviously yourself as well, because you're not holding on to that like, oh God, can I help them? I probably can't, but anyway, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. We have some honest people here. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, that's what I keep telling myself every morning.
Look, we only grow. No one's perfect except David Breyer.
That's right.
Okay. The next topic is smart trolleys have been introduced to Australia, specifically Coles Supermarket, which is a very famous supermarket in Australia. And these smart trolleys, I have a bone to pick with them because I think they're actually, whilst it's like, oh yeah, look at this, we're brand new to the tech industry, Italy is already advanced in this. So the trolleys are pretty cool. It's your normal trolley, but you've got at the front of it a little, well, it looks like you can also pay then and there. So maybe
really? It has a built-in actual, like you can actually complete the transaction right in your cart. Well, I'm looking at one thing they say here. It says when they shop in store, they can later view purchased items under their, oh, this is interesting. It's
screen
after. So under their buy it again list on the Kohl's app and website, equipped with gamified capabilities, they also have the chance to win discounts by spinning a digital wheel on the trolley's screen at checkout. So yeah, they're pushing the technology into becoming part of the shopping experience, not just, okay, you know, you check out. It's actually, they're making it just part of the actual shopping experience.
Good. I mean, they're catching up with Store Connect. It's good.
We're just throwing shade at this topic. But I guess it's like the fact that it can do those things, that it can be like, cool, do you want to save this for your next shop? That is pretty cool, because I know when I go to the grocery store, I'm not too organized to be like, oh yeah, what was in my fridge, what's not in my fridge. That would be amazing to be like, that's right, I normally get 2 dozens of eggs, and you know. But I know in Italy, what's become very, like, almost no one doesn't use this, is it's a little device, a handheld device, and you take it with your basket, because the fact that it's only available on a trolley, and I do like 3 shops a week. So I'm the little basket girl. The Italian devices are just handheld. And so what you do is you just scan the item, beep, put it in your trolley and keep going and just hold the thing the whole time. And then you go to checkout and you literally scan this thing and then you're good. You don't have to put, you know, anything in bags or anything. You can just take it with you and it's already done. So I think that's interesting that it's coming to Australia. It's only started in Richmond, I think, in Melbourne, but I'm sure in a year's time there will be many of them.
And just for clarity, making sure I'm tracking, what you're calling a trolley is what we call a shopping cart in America. Is that
Yeah,
right?
same
A
thing.
shopping cart.
A shopping
Correct.
cart,
David Breyer.
a shopping trolley.
I just was making sure. I just,
Shopping trolley.
now that I know how Adidas is pronounced in the rest of the world.
Michael, tell me how you say that sports brand right now. Go.
Correctly, Adidas.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I started hearing some. No, there was
And
actually.
Nissan. It's Nissan, not Nissan.
Okay. Well,
Are you serious?
Nissan. It is
Yeah.
Nissan. Yeah. We're driving a Nissan at the moment, actually, while we're in the US.
It's not
How do you pronounce
Nissan.
Audi? How do you pronounce Audi?
Audi,
Okay.
How do you pronounce Puma? Puma.
not
Puma.
Puma. No, Puma.
Michael, you don't say Puma. Puma is like the
Hey,
warthog
Puma.
in
Hey, why did you do that?
in
Get
the
that
Lion
cool.
King.
That's yours.
This is almost as bad as like me being. All right, for those that don't know, I'm originally from New York and now I live in the Midwest. And when I'm in the Midwest and I go, "Hey guys, this is huge," and they're like, "Huge?" and they go, "It's huge." And I'm like, what's that? I said, "You're wasting a lot of oxygen with that part in the beginning." Huge. It's huge. YOOJ. Huge. And this is
that is pretty
a
unique.
running gag for many decades at this point.
I freaking love the New York accent. Quickly, when I was doing a drama play and there was a line that I had to say, we were playing three gangsters representing Hitler. It was really weird. It was like it was weird play. Anyway, I was the notorious gangster, and my one line in this play was I was New Yorkin. New Yorkin? Is that a thing?
New Yorkin?
No, it's not a thing.
What do you call them?
A New Yorker.
A New Yorker. Yeah. And so my one line was like, if you do that again, I'm going to rub you out like pencil. No, if you do that again, I'm going to rub you out like a pencil mark or something like that. God damn, I forgot already.
You do that again, I'm going to rub you all like a pencil mark. Hey.
It's Rocky right there. Okay. Now, with absolutely no segue, we're going to move into the last one. Last topic, which is copycats. What do you think of them? Because the reason why I bring it up is I was doing some research around LinkedIn because I'm doing some research around that for myself and for Store Connect. And I came across these two videos that were just one under the other. And they looked exactly the same by different creators, different accounts, about 5 months apart. The graphic was the same in positioning, text, colors. I want to know what your thoughts are on doing that, because obviously it's a popular subject because I went to click on one of them, and what you think about just copycats in general when it comes to business.
Horrible. I mean, the bottom. Well, look, all right. So there's a few things here. One is in the land of AI, in this era of AI, there's going to be, because especially people relying upon, hey, generate me a thumbnail, and where's AI going to look? AI is going to look at everything that's been done before, right? AI is, you don't go to AI to come up with an ingenious plan. It might be something to collect data so that you can actually now plot out something, that'll break through the noise. But I find that very, very problematic. And then it also, from the standpoint of on the outside world, the amount of redundancy, people are going to be starting to see so much Me Too-ish kind of similar, just that the good side, the good news to all of this is that the truly ingenious, the truly observant, the ones who are not getting lazy and sort of basically handing off their ingenuity to some algorithm, will be the ones that shine. So I bet that's the good news aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is gravitating. It's like car design, the whole lot. The world is gravitating to a single design to rule them all. And your job in business is to stand out from the crowd. So the more that you copy other people, the more familiarity a client will have with you. So they're more likely to go, oh, this must be like that. However, the more you get blended in with the rest of the crowd. So you don't stand out. So there has to be a balance. You can't completely always be unique. That it just won't work. There has to be some connection or commonality with the existing zeitgeist or, you know, the social viewpoint and what's going on. However, you can't just copy other people's work and expect to build a long-term relationship out of that, because again, it's not genuine. You're not creating a relationship with that end customer. You're not building that trust. And, you know, that's the way it is. It just comes down to it. It's hard. It's not easy. No one said it was. Anyone that said that running a business is easy needs to be shot, because it's absolute crap. I recently posted a tweet or a LinkedIn or an X, or I don't know what post. There you go. I posted a post that said something like, I recently realized to be a entrepreneur, you have to be insane, because the definition of sanity would be agreeing with the commonly held agreements, right? So if I'm standing in a room with the both of you and I look in the corner and say, my gosh, that pink elephant's pretty scary. And you two look and go, there's no pink elephant there, Michael. And I'm like, no, he's right there. He's sitting there. He's about to attack us. You would think I'm insane because I have a different reality to you. So as a business founder, like as an entrepreneur, your whole job literally is creating a reality that doesn't exist, that only you can see, and telling the world often enough that it exists until they agree with it. So you have to be a little bit insane, and you have to be pushing down a different path. And you just have to create that. And that's what being an entrepreneur is creating that uniqueness, creating something that doesn't already exist and building on it. And sure, you can piggyback off other people's creation for a short while, but you'll only ever be picking up scraps of their innovation. If you really want to be successful in life and business, you need to create something new that doesn't exist, that solves a problem. And that would be my recommendation.
Yeah. In fact, just to kind of conclude just with a very finite example, like I think it ran for a decade. Apple had run its "I'm a Mac, I'm a PC" campaign, which was famously successful, and it was told a great narrative, and they were funny and entertaining. And you had the chill Mac dude, and you had the really uptight John Hudson kind of character, and there were a few companies that were like, "That's such a unique, successful campaign." Two people talking against a white seamless background. It was clean. It was minimalistic. It was cool. And there were a few people who tried. And all it did when they did that was reminded us of the Apple campaign. It didn't actually communicate its own communication. It was like, right. Oh, they're like Apple. So that's the thing that some people might lose a sight of. It's like, well, so-and-so's done it. It was really successful for them, so we're going to copy them. That's the normal thinking that goes along with this. And it's a flawed thinking to what Michael was just outlining. It's flawed because you may see a little something. Okay, someone may go, oh, blah, 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 but it's not sustainable. And it's not distinctive. And when you know that branding is the art of differentiation, when you really understand that people recognize different things, and they don't recognize similar things, they recognize that, okay, oh, that's like blah. What's what happens. They won't notice the different. And the different is what we want and need them to notice. That's what we build brands on.
So then if you are doing, especially in social media, because you're promoting what you're doing a lot, if a business was experiencing another business copying them, what would your advice be for those?
Ignore them.
Ignore it.
Like you can't really stop them, because there will always be small enough differences for it to make sense, and there'll be enough copycats it'll be almost impossible for you to prove that they copied you. If you have trademarks on something, that's another matter. Like if they're copying your trademark, sure. But if they're just copying your marketing approach, it's sort of a bit of a flattery. And just know that you're leading the way. And keep innovating, come up with the next thing and come up with the next thing. But if you start giving them attention, then not only are you letting them copy you, but you're letting them steal from your business.
And then on that, like what you have inspirations, right? Do either of you have when you go into business, do you have someone or a business that you kind of look up to, not necessarily similarly, but that you go, I want to run my business the way blah does, or I want the tone of the business.
Absolutely. No, of course. Absolutely. I mean, one always, in my experience, I always have a gold standard of, okay, what is the standard that really sets the benchmark of excellence that I want a communication to be comparable to. And now comparable does not mean mimic. Comparable does not mean copy. Copy does more, and being inspired by that does not mean I'm going to do everything they do and just put my little twist on it. You have to be a very, very astute observer. And that's where I think people kind of botch. People will look and they'll say, oh, they used that type of split of the screen. They used that type of font. They use these colors. And they now just copy the steps instead of asking the better questions, which is, okay, what about that actually resonated with their audience? And what about that separated them out from their industry? When you start looking at it through that lens, you can walk away with conclusions and go, whoa, now we understand the strategic things that resulted in that campaign. And when you understand that causative element, you're now in the driver's seat and you can make smart decisions.
Would you say then that it just comes down to being willing to do the work? Because the ones that kind of want quick success, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to have 1 million by the end of this year, even though I've had no experience, those guys aren't necessarily willing to look at those actions and then go, okay, I'm going to apply it in my own way.
I think that right now, I think we're at a point in culture where people are looking for the quick fix, how to get rich really fast, how to get famous really fast, how to become an influencer really fast, how to do the fast, rather than, wait a second, what's the actual outcome that one wants? Then what are the steps that are necessary to get there? And then on top of that, you can now go, okay, what's the most efficient way to achieve that? But instead, most flip that and go, okay, what's the fastest way where speed becomes like the most primary thing to somehow, and it's too shallow. It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Thank you so much for a great, 30-minute chat. We've just went across the world in our subjects. So we'll see you guys, listeners. We'll see you both, as in I'm looking at you and you. And listeners will talk to you, see you kind of virtually, whatever, next week for some more topics and wise words and lulls.
Wisdom, lots of wisdom.
And lulls.
Thanks all.
Okay, ciao. Bye. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you had an awesome time leaving you with ideas on how to improve your business and wow customers. If you'd like to leave a real customer's story, head to the link in our show notes and cuss away. Love the show? Please subscribe and leave a review because that enables us to help more businesses in building real relationships with customers and grow more rapidly. See you next time.